Did you know that from 2017 to 2020, WagerTalk charged $795 for a season of either college football or NFL? Well, we know how important our season-long customers are, and we want to increase the amount of money you save by committing a season-long package. While most of our competitors continue to raise their prices, we are doing the exact opposite. We've lowered our price for both the NFL season and the college football season to only $5.99 each. But through Sunday, August 14th, we are offering an early bird special, saving you an additional $100, making your NFL or college football season only $4.99. That's under $23 per week. Make sure to take advantage of the early bird prices before midnight, Sunday, August 14th, as they will return to the still low price of $5.99 per sport per season. You know the NFL preseason is already underway, and the college football season kicks off Saturday, August 27th. There is no coupon needed and no limit to the number of packages you can buy. Just head to your favorite handicappers page and take advantage today.
Welcome into First Pitch for Tuesday, August 9th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Dave Koken and Steve Merrill of WagerTalk.com. We're breaking down 3 games on tonight's slate. We got best bets at the end. We're talking Braves, Red Sox, Twins, Dodgers, and the battle for Texas, the Rangers and the Astros, followed by best bets. Let's get into it, guys. 7:10 Eastern, Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox in Fenway. Dave, we'll start off with you. Charlie Morton versus Rich Hill here. 9 in the hook being the total. Seeing Wager Talk odds screen posted mostly minus 150 here for the Braves, as low as minus 148, as high as minus 160. What do you like in Braves and Red Sox tonight, Dave?
Well, I sure don't like the Red Sox. Let's talk about them for a moment. They went 20-6 in the month of June and came out of that month looking like, well, this is going to be a team that's in the playoff hunt. Might not be as good as the Yankees or Astros, but certainly in the mix to get to the postseason and be a factor. Since that time, and I'm getting an echo, guys, 11-23 since the end of June. And obviously that's terrible. The echo's gone now, thank you. They've had a lot of injury issues, which a lot of teams have had. Also, they fit the profile of a team that could be really bad down the stretch because they've got a bunch of veterans, and the echo's back, a bunch of veterans and very little hope of making the postseason. This is the type of team that profiles as one that kind of might be mailing it in mentally down the stretch. I think if you look to play against the Red Sox on a regular basis, you probably got to do pretty well. The Braves coming in off a bad series against the Mets, they should be ready to go here. I think Morton Hill is fairly close on the mound, but Atlanta's got the better offense, and I think the better mindset as well. So that explains why the line's going up. I don't think the line's unreasonable, though, and I would go with the Braves here.
Okay, looking towards the Bravos. Steve, coming to you next. To Dave's point, I mean, since June 27th, the Red Sox's second worst record in all of baseball, 12-25. I don't know. Can you get here with the Red Sox? Maybe it's enough of a plus price for you.
Yeah, with all that said, though, the terrible Red Sox are just 2 games below 500 and just 4.5 out of the wild card. So that's the thing, because Dave's exactly right. The teams, there's always this thing that this team is quit, and that's, I think, one of the most overused thing in sports. However, he's right. The teams that do quit, and there's usually maybe one in every sport every year, is usually a team that's been a contender for several seasons, right? It's not the bad teams like the Tigers or the Royals. They'll actually probably be good plays in September because they'll get the youth movement. They'll continue to play hard. Red Sox were not really sellers at the deadline. They still got veteran players. And if they get a little farther back, I think you have to be very careful with Boston. With that said, though, they are kind of still in the mix now. So I think the motivation will be there, at least for this series, especially a high-profile interleague home series against the defending World Series champs. They've got 2 games here against Atlanta. They've got a single game, a makeup game against Baltimore on Thursday, and then they get the Yankees for 3, okay? So I think they stay focused for the next week, but where Dave is exactly right is at Pittsburgh in exactly 1 week, this Tuesday, next week. If they're not in the mix anymore, boy, could that be a flat spot, right? At Pittsburgh next Tuesday as an advanced look-ahead spot. As far as this game tonight, though, it is hard for me to trust the Red Sox. They have been picking up the offense a little bit. They've had 5 runs or more in 2 of their last 3, 10 hits or more in 2 of those 3. yet they're still just 1-4 straight up. Atlanta, though, really cooled off. That Mets series was huge for them because they lost 4 out of 5. It fell 6.5 games back after that, which means they're looking more likely to have to get into that wild card round instead of getting the number 2 seed in the bye with the Dodgers for the divisional round. So big series for both teams. I think I would probably trust Atlanta more to bounce back, although neither one's really in good current form.
Guys, let's head out west here. We get the Minnesota Twins and the LA Dodgers up next. The nightcap for the show, 10:10 Eastern, 7:10 Pacific start here. Steve, starting off with you, man. Twins going with Ryan on the hill. Jose Urias on the hill for the Dodgers here. The lefty, he's actually 11 straight scoreless innings in that streak. And we're talking about the hottest team in baseball. The Dodgers winning 8 straight. Minus 230, however, the ultimate equalizer here. Kind of a rich price, Steve. Total of 8. You liking anything in Dodger Stadium tonight?
Hey, you're talking me into an under, Drew Martin, because you're talking about 2 pitchers in good current form. And the other thing I'll point out about the under and just this game in general is I know they were off yesterday, but you really do have to worry about the Dodgers' focus here because we talked about, the Mets taking 4 out of 5 against the Braves. The other big weekend series, of course, was the 3-game set between the Padres and Dodgers, and LA swept that. They had basically, I'll use the word lock. I know we don't like to use the word lock a lot in this industry, but I think the Dodgers have pretty much locked up the Western Division. They're now 16 games ahead of San Diego, who lost their 5th straight last night, and they're playing the Giants again tonight. So Dodgers have locked up the division pretty much. They're looking really good for the 1 seed. At worst, they're going to be the 2 seed. They're a good 15 games ahead of St. Louis right now, who's the other division leader. So the Dodgers, whether you're the 1 or 2, you get an extra bye in the playoffs. You don't have to play in that wild card round. So, the Dodgers, like we've seen the Yankees do, probably do take their foot off the gas at some point. Day off, big series sweep, and now it's an interleague home game. It's a natural letdown spot. And then on top of that, you've got one of the best young pitchers in baseball this season in Ryan, and I would doubt many of these hitters have seen him before. So I think that sets up well for the under, and I think it also sets up an underdog play on the Twins. And keep in mind, the Dodgers, the best team in baseball, they either win by 2 or more, or they lose outright. We see it over and over again. So if you like the Twins here, would not be afraid to take the plus money price to win the game straight up, as the Dodgers either win this by margin or they probably lose outright as a $2 favorite.
Wow, nice take there, Dave. I mean, I wasn't even looking towards the underdog, but Steve making a big plus price look here towards the Twins. Some good reasons why. I mean, Dave, when I look at the Dodgers, 8-game win streak, 30-5 the last 35 games. 30-5, guys. That's a heck of a run. But Dave brings up some good points. And that point, Dave, of the good pitchers, the Dodgers have the 16-game cushion. Are they really going to run them out, for that 6th, 7th inning? Maybe save the innings here. Maybe use that in the pocket for an underdog. I don't know, kind of fishing here for a Twins look. But I thought Steve had a pretty good analysis there towards the dog. Any thoughts here in Dodger Stadium tonight, Dave?
I'm not playing against the Dodgers.
Okay.
It's simple as that. You just mentioned it, 30-5. In the last 35 games, this team is blazing hot. Arias is in good form. Ryan did have a good bounce back last start. Prior to that, he gave up 5 homers at Petco against the Padres. Yeah, so, we'll see. He's facing look, this team's just too hot to go against. And let's add in the fact that these minus 200 to minus 250 or 260 favorites, I mean, they just keep winning at an insane rate. I have no interest in the dog. I don't really have interest in the favorite either, though, because of what Steve pointed out. I mean, it is kind of a dead spot for the Dodgers. They had yesterday off, probably just relaxed to go and played some golf or whatever. It's not exactly a big game for them. So, that said, I guess I'll stay out of it, but there's just no chance I'm going against the Dodgers right now.
Jessica in the chat box agreeing. No way I'm playing against the Dodgers, she says. Thanks for joining us live. Paco Healy. We got Theo Green, Raven Ron as well. All of you. Mike Campbell. Thanks for joining us live. 2 o'clock Eastern each and every day, Monday through Friday. Feel free to reply below, guys. Let us know what you're betting this on tonight's slate as we head out to the Battle for Texas. Up next, Dave, start off with you. Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, Perez versus Urquidy, minus 180. That's the Astros at home. Total of 8. One stat for you, Dave, 25-3. That's the record the Houston Astros have against the Texas Rangers when playing in Minute Maid. Last 28 games, 25-3. So they've really owned them here, Dave. You like anything Rangers and Astros tonight?
Well, look, the history here is clear. Houston kind of wants to get back on track. I would think they haven't exactly smashed the ball last week. And the bad news is they got to face Martin Perez, who is, I guess it can be explained because he's had such good command this year, particularly with his cutter, that I guess that explains why he's had this breakout season. Clearly a career year for Perez. He's pitched really good ball. And we're deep enough into the season now where, earlier in the year, I think you could make a case that Perez was a regression candidate because he'd never been this good for this long. But, April, May, June, July, August, we're into 5 months of baseball now. And he's only had a couple of blips all season long. He's been this good. At this point, you can't really look at a guy, even if he's exceeding all his expectations in terms of what he's done in his career and what he's doing this season. I don't think you can look at it and say, well, he's due for a regression. I don't think it's just not going to happen. There's no indications that Perez is suddenly going to fall off a cliff. So I think the price is a little bit steep here. Now, I would not play it full game because there's a decided bullpen edge for Houston. And Perez is not a guy who's going to go 9 innings. But I think you can make a case, if you're looking to sneak in with a plus money dog, to take a shot with Perez in the first 5 innings. Urquidy's been solid for Houston, and I don't think the Rangers are going to whack him around by any means. But, the Rangers probably looking at this series as their biggest remaining series. I mean, it's against their rivals. They'd love to get in and win this series if possible. Don't think they can do that, but I think it can maybe take a gamble here at Perez in the first 5 innings. Rangers first 5.
Steve, Dave makes some good points here towards Martin Perez. I'll add on to it. 19 start unbeaten streak. It's been since April since he's taken a loss on his record, Steve. I thought that was interesting. Also, he's held the Astros to just 1 earned run in 16 innings so far this season against them. So for whatever reason, the Stros haven't seen him well. You liking anything in the battle for Texas tonight, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, look, Astros 14-6, Rangers 15-6 with these starters tonight, and Perez has a better ERA and almost the exact same WHIP on the season. So you could definitely make a case that starting pitching is equal, if not a little bit of an edge for Texas. Look, I brought this up in a lot of shows and videos I've done. You guys have heard me say it before. Last year the Mariners were exceedingly better than their expected one loss should be. Their 1-run wins were up there. And by the way, Seattle 25-14 this year in 1-run games as well. So it's not always a fluke. But I still think Texas being 6-24 in 1-run games is a bit of a fluke. And the reason I say that is, like Dave said, I mean, the Astros have the bullpen edge. They're the best bullpen in baseball, in my opinion. In fact, they're number 1 and number 3 in ERA and WHIP. But the Rangers are actually 13th and 15th. They're top half in both of those statistical categories. So it's not like they're a terrible bullpen. So I still think 6-24 is just really, really statistically abnormal, which means at some point we should be getting some value with Texas. So I'll take a flyer with them tonight with a good starting pitcher on the mound and a team that I think is somewhat due. And Houston, once again, Drew, just like the Yankees, just like the Dodgers, they're running away with the division. They're 11.5 up on Seattle, and they pretty much have locked up one of the top 2 seeds. They're right now 12 games, I believe, ahead of the Twins, the next closest division winner. And once again, the new playoff format, an extra wild card, 6 teams make it. The top 2 division teams get a bye to the divisional round. So Houston's pretty much locked up that bye. They've locked up the division. I'll take a shot with the Rangers maybe as a live dog tonight.
Check out Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, 50-31, 62% MLB sides and totals last 61 days, 9-2, 82% MLB best bet the last 8 days, so he's seeing it well. Also, check out Dave Coca, guys, WagerTalk.com, college football, #1 all-time profits. He's got 2 best bets available right now. Going to want to check that out. Dave Koken, experts page, WagerTalk.com. Dave, start off with you here. Best bets, final thoughts section. Anything before we shut it down here for you?
Yeah, I want to go to the Cleveland-Detroit game tonight when the Guardians have to face a lefty, and that's been a problem for them all season. They've only got a 90. forget the early part of the season. We go in recency in baseball. Since the All-Star break, WRC plus versus lefties only 90. So they continue to struggle in that department. And they haven't hit the last week. The Guardians 77 weighted runs created plus the last 7 days. That's not good. Detroit never hits. Okay, they are the hitless wonders of baseball. In the last week, even worse than normal. 53 is the WRC plus over the last week. For the season, since the All-Star break versus righties, 63. Terrible numbers. Bieber, look, he's not quite the Shane Bieber that he was when he won the Cy Young, but he's still a good pitcher. So I expect him to have a good chance to limit the Tigers. Alexander, not going to win any All-Star votes. He's a back-of-the-rotation guy, but he's not in terrible form, and he's a lefty facing a lineup that just doesn't hit lefties very well. I don't want the Tigers' bullpen after what they did over the weekend. The Guardians' bullpen is solid, especially if they get to the ninth inning with Clase, but we're not going to worry about that. I'll go starting pitcher here. It's a low total. It's 3.5. But I think with good reason. I think Bieber and Alexander have a chance to win this early matchup in terms of limiting the opposition. So let's go with an under first 5, under 3.5 between the Guardians and Tigers.
I'm going to Fenway Park for my best bet, guys, and the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. Charlie Morton on the hill, minus 150 favorites here for good reason up against Rich Hill. Guys, the veteran lefty. He's not going deep into games. He's not striking people out. I don't think he's going to do very well tonight against this Braves lineup. That's number 2 in baseball over a 775 team OPS versus lefties. That's ranked number 2 in baseball versus southpaws here. I think they get to Boston. Minus 150 price tag on the Braves for my best bet tonight. Throw it over to Steve Merrill. Again, guys, check him out, WagerTalk.com. Steve, what do you got for final thoughts and best bets for the show?
Going to look at a free baseball play for Tuesday night, August 9th. Before we get to that, just a quick reminder, we are red hot in baseball, over an 80% run over the past week, plus on MLB best bets. And I've got a 2-for-1 special, 2 games basically for the price of 1. Each game is $25 or make a 2-pack for $29 tonight. 2-for-1 Tuesday special at WagerTalk.com. And don't forget also, I still have my 7 days for $49. That works out to just $7 a day for every baseball best bet I release every day. 7 straight days. You must have promo code MOUND7, MOUND7, 7 days for $49. That information is on my homepage along with a free play, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. All right, a game that was just a bit outside for making the cut tonight on Tuesday in baseball is the over 11 between the Rockies and Cardinals. I've got 2 strong best bets. This was the 3rd game I was close to using. We'll use it as the free play here on the show. Also have the written analysis on my page at WagerTalk.com. Rockies over, always worth a look in the thin air and altitude of Coors Field, and especially when they're in good offensive form. And I think they are in good offensive form right now. They return home after, 8 games at San Diego and Arizona. They went over 4 of those last 5 games, and it was a lot of their offense doing the work here. They've had at least double-digit hits now in 3 of those last 4 road games. They've scored 5 runs or more, 4 runs or more in 3 of those 4 on the road, 5 or more in 2 of the 4, 7 in 1 of them. Now they're back in hitter-friendly Coors Field, where they've always been a better offensive team. St. Louis also in good current form right now, leading that NL Central Division by a couple games over the Brewers. I look for some offense tonight, and Colorado's got one of the worst pitchers on the mound, Feltner. 1-7, the team record with him on the mound. Not a surprise, 6.3 ERA, a 1.45 whip. Take over 11 runs, minus 120 between the Rockies and Cardinals at 8:40 Eastern Tuesday night. And don't forget 2 strong best bets tonight for $29, or get 7 days of ML best bets for just $49. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Mile high, thin air, betting the over, Steve Merrill. You heard it there from Dave Koken. And I'm on the Braves minus 150. For Dave, Steve, I am Drew. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Please smash the like button. Best of luck with your bets until then.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.